What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Fix It Garage and another awesome video I've got for you guys today. Today we're going to be working on this awesome Toyota 4Runner. We're going to be doing some basic maintenance, but first let's take a look at this truck. On the list for today, for this Toyota 4Runner, we're just going to be doing some valve cover gaskets and cam seals. We have to take off quite a few components in order to replace the valve cover gaskets and the cam plugs. Before we get started on this thing, I want to thank all you guys for watching. If you guys like this kind of content, please don't forget to smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to see more of this kind of video, just wrenching on some cars in this garage. Without further ado, let's take a look under the hood and get started working on this truck. All right, so here we have our basic Toyota 4Runner engine bay. Nothing special going on here. First thing, in order to get to these valve covers, which are buried under here, we're gonna have to go ahead and get this intake manifold off and this intake pipe. That will allow us to actually see the valve covers so we can get the valve covers off. So let's go ahead and start taking all of that apart. All right, so we've got the intake off, so now we can actually see both of the valve covers are here. We almost have enough room to get them off, but we're gonna have to move like some wiring out of the way and a couple hoses of this bracket on this side. And on this side, same thing, we'll have to move a little bit of wiring, and then we should be able to get this valve cover off, and we can go ahead and change the gaskets and the plugs after we get that off. So let's go ahead, I'm gonna set this back down, and we're gonna work on getting the passenger side valve cover off first, and then we'll go ahead and work on the driver's side. Okay guys, so we've got the valve covers off, as you can clearly see. Looking inside the motor, these cams look really good. No abnormal cam wear. The gears between the two cams look good. Nothing looks abnormal under here. This engine looks actually very, very healthy. So the other thing we have to replace that's actually in the engine is back here. Now, it's gonna be really hard to see, but back here you have a cam plug that we're going to go ahead and replace on both of them. And on the back side of the valve cover, there's actually two 10mm bolts that are like a retainer to help hold it in place and prevent it from falling out. So we're gonna have to take those off and then the cap off to replace the retainer. We have to do this on both sides. So I'm going to try and position the camera in a way that you can see it, but it's very, very tough to get this on camera. But you guys already know, I'm gonna do my best and try to get it for you guys. So let's go ahead and get those apart and replace those cam plugs. One other thing on this engine bay that we're gonna have to change is right here, there are these little half moon aluminum caps that are in with a liquid gasket, and that gasket material is very worn out, so we're going to pull those off and put on some new liquid gasket here as well. I pulled the rear one just to make sure that we could even do it, and I was able to get it out where this hole is over here that you can kind of see. So we're going to pull those off, and we're going to put new liquid gasket on it and reinstall those 4 half moon pieces of aluminum, along with doing the cam cap or cam plugs, and then we will move on to replacing the valve cover gaskets. Okay guys, so we've got the driver's side valve cover here because we're going to do this side first. First of all, here are these little aluminum half moon deals. We have cleaned the liquid gasket off from in here so we can apply new liquid gasket and reinstall them. Now they're going to need pressure to help keep them in place, and we need the valve cover to do that. So before I reinstall those, let's get the valve cover gasket and these tube seals changed out, so that way then when we go to put this all back in the car, it can be all done in one sequence, and this thing will be, that driver side will be all done, and then we'll just repeat it on the passenger side. So the first thing we need to do is get this old, worn out driver side valve cover gasket off. Comes out fairly simple, and we can just dispose of that. We don't need that anymore. Now the tube seals are going to be a little interesting because you can see along here they actually have a thing to kind of help keep them in, and you can't undo these bolts. My go-to method for getting out tube seals is using a screwdriver. Well, that shows you how worn out these are. This is literally supposed to be rubber, and it is as hard as a rock. That should be rubber, not plastic. So this is what happens to rubber when it's exposed to oil over time. It becomes hard, almost like plastic. Crazy. Some advice that I like to give to anybody installing rubber parts: never install them dry. So this rubber is just dry. I use some stuff called Sil Glide. It works really good for lubing up rubber components you're going to install. So I just coat the edge of it and a little bit of Sil Glide. Now this tube seal is ready to install. Now there's a lot of different ways to install a tube seal. I prefer the most straightforward method of a rubber mallet. Making sure that first I kind of start it with my fingers like that. And now we'll just tap it in. If it doesn't seem to want to seat all the way, you can always use a socket. I like to use the socket sometimes because that'll help make sure that this outer ring is flush in the valve cover, which means that the tube seal is all the way installed. So let's go ahead and get the other two installed so that way this step is done. Perfect, the tube seals are in. Let's go ahead now and get the new valve cover gasket on and throw this thing back on the vehicle. Another little trick to make sure is take the end of your mallet. I like to tap the valve cover gasket, make sure that the valve cover gasket is all the way on. Now something I've learned as a trick is anywhere you have a sharp edge like this on a valve cover gasket, you always want to put a little bit of liquid gasket. It helps make sure that those corners don't leak in case the gasket doesn't fully seal up to the corner. So we're going to put a little bit of liquid gasket on these before we install it in the vehicle. My liquid gasket maker of choice today is going to be good old-fashioned Honda Bond. Yes, this is a Toyota, but I really like this stuff. Works really good, so we're going to use this for sealing up this valve cover. Alrighty guys, we got this thing all the way put back together. So you know what's up next. We need to start this thing up and check it for leaks. Well, there you go guys. It runs and it no longer leaks from the valve cover area. Nothing up there is leaking. So if there's any more leaks, we'll have to go ahead and diagnose them at a later date. But that is gonna do it for today, guys. If you guys like what you saw, don't forget to smash the like button. Leave some comments down below, what you liked, what you didn't like, and don't forget to subscribe so you guys don't miss any future Fix It Garage videos and more projects taking place here in my garage. I've still got some cool stuff coming in throughout the year, so I hope you guys stick around to check all that out. But that's gonna do it for today, guys. I wanna thank all you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.